This Thing Called Life is a podcast dedicated to exploring the twists, turns, and transformative moments that shape our lives and the lives of others. It is a space where we can share our experiences so we can learn, grow, and empower change. You're listening to This Thing Called Life. I am your host, Atlas. Today, our guest is David Sklarew. David is a musician and certified energy healing practitioner and has a practice in Woodstock, New York, where he sees clients both in person and remotely. He focuses on helping you clear and evolve energy patterns, behaviors, and beliefs that inhibit living joyfully and authentically. As you clear away what isn't true for you, your energy flows towards the life you want to create. David talks about his energy healing practice and what it was like accepting his sexual identity and moving on from corporate America. We start the conversation with David describing what it was like going through his father's passing. What do you feel like your turning point is?
Well, that's great. I think there have been quite a few inflection points that have made a big difference in my life. I think two of them, which were kind of coupled together, was my father's passing and transition in 2017, and then leaving a long-standing job in corporate America in 2019.
And you said that happened like back to back, consecutive, right after one after.
Yes, my dad passed the end of 2017, and um, I think to some extent it was a little bit of a wake-up call to me. It was really, it was both a wake-up call about how precious life is, and it was also to some extent, it was a devastating loss, but I also found some new freedom in the loss, which was kind of unusual and unexpected.
What are some things that kind of helped you through? I feel like uh, grieving and loss is something that's relatable to a lot of people, and I'm wondering what helped you through the passing of your father.
Well, I think that, initially, it was really helpful to spend time with family, but long term, it was really I kept up a relationship with my father, and it qualitatively changed over time. And I feel that has provided a lot of sustenance and joy in my life.
Tell me more about that. I mean, you said it sounds like you maintained your relationship, and I'm wondering, how did you do that? How did you maintain the relationship with your father? Through him being in the physical form and in here on Earth, and then after his passing, how did you maintain that relationship? And also, I'm wondering how things changed.
Well, uh, during my dad's presence here, uh, I had a lot of appreciation for him, uh, and there were also some challenges with the relationship. I feel so blessed to have had that relationship with my father. I learned so much from him. And also, on his path, he had certain challenges that I saw in myself. So it was challenging because while there were things that were difficult to be with him at times because of buttons that were pressed in me. Um, there was also kind of like an understanding that I understand why those buttons are being pressed because in some ways, I've learned a lot from him, and I patterned some of my behavior with his. And when he transitioned, I started speaking with him in spirit, and it was from a very different place. Over time, uh, tremendous joy and appreciation developed, and he uh, he shared a lot of his joy for his relationship with me, and it was just like it was like he was there trying to still be my father, and it was just very interesting over time as I continue to develop and empower myself and really continue to grow in my being and my authenticity. It came to a point where I was really like, um, I choose a different relationship with you, Dad. I don't. I'm not seeking all this the same kind of guidance because I'm looking internal to drive my life. I'm not looking for external validation all the time. I'm looking inside first, um, primarily before I reach out for help. And over time, he's learned to respect those boundaries, and it's made the relationship so much joyful.
And I hear a lot of, and there similar themes or threads, I guess, um, in people's lives, and I know it's definitely in my story, but it's sort of like we are part of learning and growing here as human beings is, we initially are seeking identity and validation in externally. I know that's something that you pointed to and pointed at earlier, uh, whether it's people, places, and things, or money, or but we're seeking validation, and there's like I guess a point where we're like, you know what, that's not serving me anymore. That it's this has served a purpose, but we're sort of go from survival mode to like thriving mode, and learning that process. And I feel like that resonates with you, and your decision to go from quote unquote corporate America and into shift elsewhere. I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. I was in corporate America for about 24 years. And for a long time, I was really excited about my job and a lot of the opportunities I had for growth. And over time, my values shifted. I wasn't really so engaged and interested in the intellectual pursuit, though there was a lot of creativity and joy associated with that. I was really more interested in connecting with people. I was more interested in being creative, in having in being able to really show up completely all the time, including in my work. And I found through corporate America, though I worked for a really good company that talked about bringing your whole self to work, it was really like, sure, show up, but paint within these confines, within these lines, within this box. And my job was something I enjoyed, but I had a very different identity outside of work. That was very, very different. And over time, I decided that the golden handcuffs of and the safety of corporate America weren't serving me at all. I think there was a lot of fear of stepping out into the unknown. And eventually, after my dad passed, I'm just like, this isn't serving me. I'm gonna move forward into more ventures that better resonate with where I am now.
Yeah, I feel like in a lot of ways, like there's you're holding a lot of gratitude for a lot of, I mean, it's obviously unfortunate when people pass away, but I feel like that was like almost like a catalyst for change. After your dad's passing, I mean, one thing led to another, and there was sort of this snowball in a positive direction. Like it sort of snowballed into this into growth.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that in many ways, my dad um, was symbolic in some ways of certain patterns in my life. And it seemed for whatever reason, it was easier to start stepping out of those patterns after he had passed along.
So your dad, your father passes away. You're still sort of maintaining like a relationship and still sort of communicating with him. Can you like talk a little bit more of that? If someone was listening and let's say it's never come to their mind like, hey, I can maintain a relationship with someone that's passed. I mean, for a lot of people, someone passed, and it's sort of they feel like they can't communicate with them. So I'm wondering if anyone was listening and was maybe still grieving, or yeah, and still some sort of process of grieving, and was curious about maintaining a relationship. I'm wondering, what are some like tips or suggestions you can give to someone?
Well, I think certainly from my conversations with other people, that's a really individual process. Everyone uh, connects with people in different ways and has different kinds of skills. But perhaps there's an opportunity to just to be open, to close your eyes and have a dialogue and see if you hear anything back.
Yeah. And the other thing that comes to my mind also is like incorporating journaling too. I think you said it perfectly. I think there's all sorts of ways that we can connect with and communicate with. Um, just like there's all the different ways we can connect with and communicate with people, like human beings in the three-dimensional world here. I mean, there's all sorts of ways we can connect and communicate, and that goes to say for the spiritual realm as well. But I know, one thing is that can be helpful is journaling too, like journaling what we want to say, but maybe journaling what we trying to connect with whoever passed, and maybe have them write down some things, and what would they say back to us. I know that can be a helpful tip. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about, so we've got um, your father passing. You take this leap of faith, you decide to not take a promotion, and you take the leap of faith, and like, hey, I've had enough. I have enough of running on this hamster wheel, so to speak. And what are some things you started to experience after you took this leap of faith?
Well, I started to really focus on on the things I loved outside of work. I was really, ever since college, when I was introduced to Qigong and Tai Chi, I really became on a path of inner healing and open to alternative ideas. And I decided to apply to work at Omega for a few months, and it was just a fantastic experience. I had been to Omega as a guest over the years a few times, as well as attended other retreat centers, and, I was just kind of thrust into this wonderful, diverse culture with, so many interesting people and, different belief systems and values and experiences, and I was like a kid in a candy store. And it really, I grew up with a much more limited view of the world and a view of what possible ways there are to show up. And it was just very broadening to see so many people uh, really living authentically and trying different paths on life than I had taken. And it really kind of lit up the idea that, you know what, the possibilities are much broader than ever. And I continue to just try to be much more open-minded and be open to new possibilities, new ideas, new belief systems, and really living authentically. And a big shift was in corporate America. I think there was I was and younger, I was really motivated a lot by fear. And there were things that I didn't know that were possible because I wasn't really connected with my own authenticity, and I didn't really feel I had I wasn't really allowed to express myself fully. And after leaving corporate America, I think the embracing of my and feeling free to really follow my passion, my joy, my inspiration, trying new things. If they don't work out, just I'll try something new, really blossomed.
There's a few things that are coming to my mind, and I've felt in a similar way that there's for a while I was sort of living my life with, you know how horses have those blinders on. It's almost as if I had blinders on, and those blinders were like many things, and one of them was like fear and these fear-based beliefs and things that were passed down to me and limited, right? It was these limiting beliefs, and I've got these blinders on, and I'm hanging out with a lot of people that also have blinders on. So it feels like this is like like this is like a somewhat of a normal thing. It's like, oh yeah, we're this there's a lot of like acceptance for limitations, right? But then at a certain point, it's like this is terrible, and this is not this is living this way is hurting me, and I can't take it anymore. And we start taking the blinders off. Our awareness begins to expand, and I really, I love the way you describe it as a kid in the candy store, because I feel like the more the more you expose yourself to different people and different experiences, and the more you're able to cultivate acceptance for others and yourself, and you begin to see yourself and other people and these different parts. Right? It's like you're in this store and there's all these different pieces of candy, right? And you can pick one up, you can put it back, you can try this, you can, maybe I like this, maybe I don't. But I feel like at the more and more you welcomed other people and other ways of life, you begin to accept yourself more, and you begin to um, find and discover these wonderful parts of yourself.
Absolutely, and I think it works that way. You see other people modeling, ways of being and self-acceptance and forgiveness, and it gave me a little bit of, allowance. Let me try that on. I can do that also. It's possible. But really, what really happened over time was, I worked really hard on personal growth and freeing myself from limiting beliefs and and appreciating myself so much more, and really loving myself. And as I grew to have much more appreciation for myself, much more allowing and accepting much more of myself, it was so much easier to be present for other people. And a big part of that was really finding a different balance between the mind and the heart. I was really very cerebral in my day job in corporate America, and finding tools and skills to really express myself and to sink into my body more fully, to have better boundaries, and to really connect with my emotions, my feelings, and my desires has served me tremendously. It's like having it's like the compass was outside myself, and now the compass is inside.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, and and there's a lot. There's so much more stability in that. Like I feel like when we have confidence external, like from external sources, it's like fragile, and it can be broken easily. I mean, it's sort of like we're, in a lot of ways, we're handing over our power into something outside of ourselves, and we've got no control over if it breaks or if it or this happens or whatever. And so we're sort of, in a lot of ways, I feel like handing over our power to something else. And then when we notice, when we get the confidence internally, there's a lot of power, because like no one can no one can touch any people can try, but to change or to affect us, but ultimately it's up to us.
Absolutely, and I think the confidence has really helped me immeasurably, and the other things that have been very helpful too. Certainly, I was a highly sensitive person, the poster boy of that, and I was very empathic, and I always really had a good sense of how other people were feeling, and really reached out to really understand, am I safe? How can I behave in this context? And by really refocusing and regulating my energy, so I'm really much more connected with my passion, my needs, my creativity. it's really opened up, and having boundaries, it's really opened up a completely new world for me. You know, I found this inner peace I didn't have before, this connection to joy and all of the emotions that I'm trying to welcome. And being more present and embodied, it just enables me to show up without the fear, but with the curiosity, as I connect and connect with other people in my life. No longer is it am I approaching from a place of hiding or fear or lack of self confidence. It's more I want to play. What are you about?
I think kind of how can we play together, or what's something that how can we play together? And it's sort of like it goes to my next question, or what I was thinking about, and I'm wondering if there's like any a moment or maybe a couple moments where you saw someone expressing themselves in a particular way, and you're like, that's what I got to do. That's what I want to do. And in some degree, you saw someone inspired you, in the realm of self expression. Someone inspired you to kind of like, hey, that's something I want to do. I got to do that.
I think there were a lot of inspirational people in my life. Um, I think about um, I think about a mentor that really demonstrated unconditional love and acceptance in ways that I wasn't completely familiar with. That was just a wonderful introduction to how I want to live my life. Uh, and certainly at Omega and some of the other places I spend time, like Easton Mountain and Row, uh, conference centers. Um, I've met people that have just decided to paint with their palette, you know, to really express themselves uniquely and authentically. And I didn't really have a lot of idols growing up because I wasn't really connected with my own desires and needs. Sure, I expressed myself wonderfully through playing the clarinet. What a joy! What an outlet and a love that I still have today. And outside of that, I remember in must have been 8th grade, we were going around in a circle, and someone asked what to share what TV show we liked. And I remember thinking, "What TV show do I like? I really don't know." I asked someone next to me, and it was just like I look back at that with compassion and a little bit of a smile. And I said, "Wow, that was really interesting." And look where I am now. And it gives me a lot. It gives me, I think, compassion for other people, but it also really highlights how joyful and how grateful I am to really have found my voice. And it's something I'm really passionate about. I'm really passionate about um, creativity and finding my and connecting with my authenticity and living wholly all the time, or as much as I can. And that's one of the things I really enjoy sharing with other people.
So I know one of your turning points involves Row Retreat Center and Easton Mountain Retreat Center. So I'm wondering if you could speak a little bit about those retreats and what they are, and yeah, how they've shaped your experience.
I'd be glad to. I think one of the things about my path was that one of my challenges was that I didn't really embrace all of myself. I felt very restricted and didn't really have my voice. And a big part of that was not really appreciating and allowing my sexuality. And I think about probably in my mid-20s, mid to late 20s, I went to the Rocam Conference Center for their Labor Day weekend for Men Who Love Men. And it was just a very transformative experience for me because I grew up feeling very a lot of rigidity, like a lot of shoulds in my life. And I didn't really understand the idea uh, that these boundaries are really being imposed for no reason, and there's a lot more opportunity for me to just express myself authentically. And I remember going to row for the first time, and I was a very shy, uh, shut down person in many ways, outside of my music where I lit up. And it was just really a wonderful place where I was able to start exploring my feelings, my sexuality, and meet other people who were also attracted to men. And I didn't really have that experience. I grew up in a lovely community. I had many privileges in so many ways. And part of that was there was really, you talked about walking around with blinders on. Well, I had a lot of blinders. And, you know, starting my experience at Row, which is a very welcoming environment for men who want to explore their sexuality and really talk about it and meet other people and have a lot of dialogue about that. And also now spending a bunch of time at Easton Mountain, which is a wonderful place for it's a wonderful facility with a lot of retreats, primarily for gay and bi men. And it's just been eye-opening for me, you know? It's really allowed me to show up fully in life and really accept all of myself and not be so scared about what people are gonna think about me. Can I act that way? Do I have to filter my life? And I think, for me, I think, accepting my sexuality has was a major milestone in my life. It removed a lot of filtering, it allows me to show up and appreciate and love all myself and extend that to other people in ways that I couldn't because of a lot of self-judgment and judgment of other people. So I think everyone has different challenges in life, and I just want to share my enthusiasm for feeling the fear and moving through that and moving towards self-acceptance and a wider, expansive set of opportunities for how you are and how you show up for yourself and others.
I feel like you're pointing to the importance of these spaces and places that hold space for these different identities to exist, right? And in particular, this one is about sexuality and gay and bisexual men and men who love men. It was a place that it shifted things for you from like you were worried about what people were think to like embracing and loving this part of you, right? And I feel like these places, these two, Row and Eastern Mountain, were spaces that could allow you to be you and to accept, not only accept yourself, but get into a place that to just like love and adore this part of you.
Absolutely. For me, it's all about celebration, and it's celebrating yourself and celebrating other people and creating room for that.
So, eh, there's, we had talked about this before and the importance of the fact that there's all these different modalities of healing. There's all these different pieces, and there's all these people that offer a really important piece, and it's these like this mosaic, right, of healing, and there's these stepping stones, and there's something for someone wherever they're at in their life, and it's important to acknowledge all these pieces that they all exist because it's going to offer someone an important healing experience for them. And you offer an important piece, an important healing practice. And I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about your healing practice and maybe go through like what it's like to go through a session with you.
Love to. So, the healing practice that I'm sharing with clients is based on the Energy Healing Institute's curriculum. I've learned a lot from the founder, Joe Lee, that's been very helpful in my life. So the session starts with the client sharing what they want to evolve in their life. Is it how they feel? Is it an emotional pattern, a behavioral pattern? Perhaps there's something physical that's manifesting that has emotional roots. And there's a little bit of dialogue. It's not therapy. There are a few questions, uh, what would you like to work on today? And after they get an idea of of what that is and express it clearly. Does this pattern have any roots you feel in past relationships or people that you might be modeling the pattern after or relating to people following that pattern of behavior? Right. So there's a little kind of an idea that these patterns are relational sometimes. And there might be energetic cords related to people, or programming, which is conditioned behavior, or karma, or agreements, or contracts bound up with these people in your life. And it just really it brings the energy to light that's ready to be cleared. Whatever the client lights up in their awareness is ready to be cleared, whether it's conscious or unconscious. Then I create an intention that really clarifies what the client is trying to bring into their life. What do they want to manifest in their life? It might be something like, I know and express my feelings. My voice counts. That might be very helpful for someone's working on moving out of codependent or people pleasing relationships, getting better in touch with their voice, and allowing their volition to really help them manifest their needs. All right. After that, I teach a skill to empower the client. It could be something, it could be a skill, an energy regulation skill, maybe grounding or setting some chakras. It could be an energy clearing skill for releasing the energy related to a conditioned behavior that they're trying to move through. Um, and then the client hops up on the massage table, and I use many of the skills that I teach the clients in a session. There's some embodiment protocol. There's energy clearing, clearing of emotional energy that's not in current time. There's clearing of cords. There's moving other people's energy out of the space. There's clearing of some of the constructs I mentioned, like karma or contracts or uh, programming. There's the reestablishment of energetic boundaries if necessary. And often the clients have very different experiences on the table, and it's all welcome. Could be serenity. It could be a lot of energy coursing through their body. Maybe they had some recollections in like a dream state, or maybe they really just are on the table and they're not really conscious of anything different. And overall, it doesn't matter, because what's really focused on is how the client evolves that pattern, that way of being that they want to let go of to create more conscious choice in their life. So, and that's really how I approach my path and my spirituality. When years ago I was a workshop junkie, just trying to get more tools and to feel whole. And I come to the realization that I am whole. Everyone is whole just the way they are, and to really look inward look inward for guidance, to be grateful for the tools and the people and the mentors in my life who have been part of my healing journey. And that's kind of what I offer in guiding clients on their own journeys.
So many wonderful things. I mean, and I'm hearing a lot of it's a space um for them to gain insight, right? And it's like, and again, I know this is something that we share. It's they have their own the client or the person has their own answers to the problem. They've got to go within themselves to kind of find what that is, or find guidance of where they need to kind of go in life, or where their joy is, and what are they doing, what are they saying, who are they with when they're the most happiest that they've been. So it's one point. It sounds like there can be great, significant insight in the sessions with you, but also what I really love is the empowerment that comes from you kind of give them tools to kind of do this on their own, right? It's on one hand they're sort of with you for you to help sort of guide them along in the process, but you kind of give them these tools and skills that they can use on their own and wherever, whenever.
Absolutely, because there's so many different healing processes out there and tools, and this is really about evolution. It's not a one-shot deal most of the time. You know, a client uh, comes in and change is gradual. And one thing that's really
Mm.
interesting about this is, to some extent, when they're ready, the energy just moves and it's available to let go of what's not serving them. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a conscious uh, understanding. It's just they're ready to move on. It doesn't require examining your navel and going over and over and going into the nitty gritty and all the details. It's just like it just you light up the patterns you're ready to release, and you claim sovereignty. You regulate your energy, and then regulating your energy brings you into your body. It gives you a different relationship to your whole being, your emotions, your spirit, your body, and it really provides a real anchored platform for evolution.
And I really like the idea of lighting up these different parts. It's sort of like using love and light to kind of heal and let go and to move things around and to move through. I think that's a beautiful way to kind of go about healing and growing and learning. And I know we talk about, you and I have talked about this, the balance of, you know, doing something on our own, but also doing stuff with other people and sort of finding the balance of, okay, I can do things on my own. I can do this healing on my own and self healing, but at the same time, there's, both you and I both know that there's a lot to be learned in doing stuff with groups and community. And the one thing I kind of wanted to, the last question I wanted to ask is, I know you're doing workshops coming up here in I think Stone Ridge area, the Woodstock area. I'm wondering if you can kind of talk a little bit about these workshops that you have
Well, I'll
coming
be
up.
glad to. I mean, I offer a bunch of workshops, ranging from music collaboration to setting intentions to qigong to all kinds of different areas. And the workshop that I'm offering now is a new year, new tools for evolution. And basically, it's an introduction to many of the tools that I share with clients during sessions. In this workshop, I introduce the energy body and the fact that the energy body reflects uh, dysregulation in people's lives, which are patterns, whether it be emotional or behavioral, that aren't really serving people to be authentic, uh, to feel safe, to have their needs met, whatever it is. You know, dysregulation can show up in so many different ways. And then I teach grounding and setting the chakras, which is just really regulating how open each chakra is to create the kind of platform of empowerment and self-reliance through which evolution may occur. And it's a fascinating workshop. One of the exercises I do is really to familiarize people with with the concept that when you feel very sad or angry or anxious, how much of that feeling is really yours? Because I know that when I wasn't as well regulated, when I was feeling a lot of anxiety, it was coming from, I was resonating anxiety in my space. And I was basically attracting anxiety from all the people in my life, the collective unconsciousness, and even people I didn't know. So there's a wonderful exercise where you really explore, let me connect with this emotion and let me understand how much of it is mine. And for the part of that emotion that's not mine, you offer the opportunity to give it back where it came from so people can be in relationship to their own emotional energy and grow from it. And for many people, it's a huge release because if you're very empathic, or you aren't really well boundaried and energy contained, you're really sucking in a lot of energy from other people and you're not really aware of it. So that release can be eye-opening. It certainly was for me when I first experienced that and didn't have the same kind of regulation. And then you can take the emotional energy that's yours and claim responsibility for it and clear it and move it out of your system into the ground. So you and refill your space with clear energy that's yours. And for me, it's been a very powerful experience. I think I alluded to the fact that I was very highly sensitive and empathic growing up and as a young adult. And by really, these are some of the tools that have been very helpful for me in really connecting strongly to my own needs, my own desires, um, claiming my sexuality, and really allowing myself to experience myself in life and to really connect with people from a sense of who I am. And it makes a huge difference. And I find that it really opens me up for a lot of acceptance of other people, acceptance of myself, forgiveness, and really having experiences that I never even dreamed about.
I'm wondering how the people listening can celebrate you.
Well, if anything I've shared resonates with you, or you just want to say hi, visit my website at davidsklarew.com. My last name is spelled Sklar, Sklar, followed by an EW. And go to the contact me page and leave me a note. I'd love to hear from you, and that would be a blessing.
David continues to help guide clients open up to creativity and self-expression, and includes practices that generate movement, release, and flow. He brings elements from Qigong, musical expression, and creative movement. To connect and learn more about David, visit his website, davidsklarew.com. If you enjoyed this episode, you can support this show by liking, sharing, or subscribing wherever you're listening. You can find us online at thisthingcalledlife.center. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, visit thisthingcalledlife.center/contact. Until next time, thank you for listening and being with us on This Thing Called Life.